next two guests are regarded as the most popular and most important film critics in the country because of the success of their syndicated show called At the Movies. Roger Ebert is film critic for the Chicago Sun-Times, and Gene Siskel is in the same capacity for the Chicago Tribune. Would you welcome Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel? First thing I thought of when you guys walked out, who's going to make a move for this chair?
It's really kind of my turn, and I'm happy to be here. It's a very nice chair, and I like sitting in it.
Gee. Have you seen any good movies lately? What do you think of The Color Purple? Yeah, let's talk about The Color Purple tonight.
The Color Purple.
Gene, come back. Come back here. You guys are friends, I assume. I see you work together. You seem to have a good relationship, but obviously you are competitors. You do the same work for different newspapers.
We kind of coexist. We started out as enemies, and we have improved on that a little bit. I think the first year that Gene was on the beat, I hardly even talked to him.
True.
He had a big, bushy mustache at that time and a lot more hair than he has now.
Roger weighed exactly the same that he weighs now.
Listen, that's due to 17 years of dieting that I've been able to maintain.
Seems to be a little festering under the surface here.
1/8 of a ton of rompin' stompin' film criticism.
How long have you been doing this job, both of you?
I've been a film critic for the Sun-Times for 18 years.
16. I'm in my 17th year at the Tribune.
I was the youngest film critic for a major daily in America, and then they hired Gene at the Tribune, and I became the oldest film critic in Chicago.
When you first met each other, did you really?
We did not like each other.
He came in with a lot of advanced billing. He was the Yale philosophy major, and he was going to take me on. You know, I was already in place for a year, and it was really interesting. The first year he graded the movies instead of giving them stars. It was.
No, that's not true. I started the stars right away. We did not like each other at all. Our job was and continues to be to beat each other in print every single day of the week. And one day a week, we get together. Sort of a truce is called. We try and beat each other on TV. That's
you go do the show.
And we do the show. It would not be unlike if, let's say, you and Dick Cavett, let's say his show had been a smash success for 23 years like your show, and you two guys were in deadly competition every day of the week for guests and for monologues and everything.
We were at one time.
Yes, and you blew them out.
No, there were 3 talk shows on the air one night. Merv Griffin was on, Dick Cavett, and the Tonight Show was on.
But I mean, it's that intense of a rivalry.
You can be friends, but you kind of
we are always trying to get an interview away from each other for the Sunday paper. We're always trying to get a review in first. We're always trying to talk to stars before the other guy has. And we're always trying to outright each other. We're always trying to pick out themes.
Yeah.
Issues going on in the movies. When we sense that, for example, now violence, you'll see a lot more violence in films than sex. You'll see a lot of violence directed at women. Those
Does the
kinds of
violence
issues
bother you more than the sex?
Yes.
Yes, it does, because it's inhuman, you know.
Yeah.
The violence in The Hitcher right now, seeing The Hitcher was one of the most unhappy experiences I've had in the movies in a long time.
And that was one that we really agreed on. In fact, I was kind of surprised because I didn't know whether Gene would like it or not. It's very slick. Well, I didn't know. It's very technically smooth.
I'd have to be subhuman
It's very
to like
well
that
made,
film.
and it is absolutely depressing. There's a scene in that movie where there was a woman who was tied up between 2 trucks.
Torn apart.
That's correct.
And I was sitting there thinking, it will never happen. We will never see the scene where he puts his foot on that pedal, and he did. And I thought, you know, I was thinking, if this happens in this movie, then there's no hope.
And what's bad about it is there were a lot, and it's not a big hit, it's a modest success, I think. But each of those people who saw that film now gets burned on the movies because that movie really violates you. That movie shows you ugliness that you have to take home at night and think about as for as short a time as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And the movie industry is under fire from the cassette industry right now. People don't need a reason not to go to the movies. Pictures like The Hitcher give people reasons to stay home and rent their old favorites.
Which obviously you are. Good point. But I would guess, I'm sure I'm right in this, neither one of you are, of course, for censorship.
No.
No, the movie should be made, it should be shown, and it should not be attended by anybody.
That's the whole thing. That's the point. It's like pornography. Don't go look at it. Suppose somebody came to you and said, there's a lot of talk in the press about rock radio stations being paid off, you know, to get records played. Have you ever had somebody come to you and say, we really need to push on this picture. How would you like a new house?
I have never been offered a bribe in any form. And as far as I know, no other film critic has either that I know about. I don't believe that I don't think the studios do that.
Right.
There is a form of bribery, though, that is very subtle. and that has to do with the granting of interviews. You'll notice, Johnny, and in fact, it even happens on this show. Isn't it odd, Johnny, that you get guests who just happen to be available just as their movie is opening that week?
Yes, especially on NBC, or if they work for this network. Sure.
Well, it works the same way with us. The star who, you know, doesn't call me. I had the flu last week. I was sick. Gene Hackman didn't call me. Burt Reynolds didn't call me. Al Pacino didn't call me.
I didn't call him.
Jack Nicholson didn't call me.
I didn't call you either.
But, you know, when Prizzi's Honor came out, I was able to get an interview with Jack Nicholson, one of our greatest actors. So you see...
That's part of it.
There's no question that there's an industry there, and we've had said to both of us, I believe, if you like the picture, Burt will interview with you. So now that's a little bit of leverage.
Yeah. Now, both of you guys have some clout, obviously. Why is it sometimes, I suppose it's all subjective when you watch a picture, but you'll see critics, you fellows, see the same picture and come to exactly a 180-degree turn. One will love the direction or the story, and the other critic says it was the worst picture I've ever seen. And the general public says, gee, no, these people are supposed to be experts. They're supposed to know construction and know plots and know directing, and yet they see it completely at opposite ends.
It is absolutely personal. There are no rules. I do not go into the movie with a list of 8 little things that I'm looking for, and if the movie corresponds, then that makes it a good movie. The lights go down, the movie starts, I look at it, I feel what happens, and then after the movie is over, I report about what happened to me. And it may be that because Gene has a different background, different opinions, a different starting place, any two people can disagree. And that's, I think, what's interesting about our show is there's not just one guy, you know, saying this is the line that you have to follow.
The only thing I can tell you is that sometimes a movie will hook you in some very personal, emotional way that the other person just doesn't have that relationship. I remember seeing Saturday Night
reference point,
Saturday Night Fever in 1977, December of '77. I ended up seeing that picture 10 times. That picture spoke to me, I felt personally. It represented a youth that I did not have. I was not the king of the dance floor.
He was not John Travolta.
Yeah.
But you know, he bought can I say this? He bought, you don't want me to say that?
You see now the relationship on the show. He has to ask me whether he can speak.
That's right.
I hope I can say that.
This we've defined after 8 years, Johnny. It works perfectly. Go ahead now.
Gene bought John Travolta's suit from that movie.
Well, you see, nothing wrong with being a fan. Nothing wrong with being a fan.
We are fans. We love the movies. That's the one thing, I'll tell you, that I think critics get tired with the most is that we are somehow like to give negative reviews more than positive reviews. Not true. I tell you, The Hitcher was painful to see. I'd rather see Hannah and her sisters 100 times every single day of my life rather than see that. We love the movies. We go to them. We think we love the movies more than the people who make them.
Yeah. You made some very cogent comments at the Show West convention about what theater owners could do and what patrons did not like. We've all suffered through pictures where there's the crying baby.
Yes,
or there's people acting up where they're raising hell because there don't seem to be any ushers anymore. I used to be an usher when I grew up, and there were ushers, you know, that told you to seat, and you'd kind of have a little bit of authority to restore order, but it doesn't seem to happen.
There is not the civility in the audience that you would expect, and I don't object to audience noise when it's appropriate. If something's exciting or funny, people will scream or people will laugh, but it's very disappointing when people are simply talking as if they're in their living room. That's too bad.
Right.
I have a standing offer in the Tribune of $10 to any usher who will throw out a crying baby and a parent or guardian. I've had to pay off twice in 16 years.
Yeah, I guess they're reluctant to do it.
The other thing, I worked one day as an usher, and I thought I would try it, and, you know, I was afraid, in the dark, look, they're getting paid minimum wage, you know? What are you going to, in the dark, you're going to tell us, where you got a flashlight in your hand, you're going to hit somebody with it? So they're not getting paid much, but I think if the ushers at least were in the theater, my big complaint is they're not even in the theater. They're out hauling the bags of pre-pop popcorn. We all see them.
Another thing we can touch on. Let me take a break. We'll be right back. Okay. I want to bring this young lady out. I hope you guys will come back with us again.
Oh, we'd be happy to.
We'd love to have you both back again, but I want to bring this young lady out because... Okay, we are back.
Hollywood magic.
Okay. Guys, we probably won't see it. I hope you both come back. We just really touched the surface here because there are a lot of things we could talk about besides the movies, especially the paying customers. If you had to make a calculated guess, I'm going to ask you, Roger, then Gene.
Okay.
The Academy Awards are coming up, I guess, the 24th of March. What would you think is going to win the Best Picture? If you...
my prediction, Out of Africa.
Out of Africa?
For Best Picture, yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't be my choice.
Wouldn't be your choice, but that's your prediction.
Yeah.
I am really torn here. This is going to be very close voting. I'm going to say it will be The Color Purple.
That would be my choice.
Roger made an interesting comment. He said that would be my choice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Interesting. And the audience seemed to go
And
along
I'll tell you,
also.
Pritzi's honor is not out of it. It's going to be a three-way race.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. I'm humbled by that applause.